In this particular video, let us understand the details of VSEPR theory, that is valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. There are several different theories which explain the electronic structure and shapes of known molecules. The Lewis theory was the first explanation of a covalent bond in terms of electrons that was widely accepted. If two electrons are shared between two atoms, this constitutes a bond and binds the atoms together as per this particular theory. It was further supported by octet rule. In case of light atoms, a stable arrangement is attained when the atom is surrounded by 8 electrons. Let us take an example for the formation of Cl2 molecule. Now we know that each chlorine atom is surrounded by 7 valence electrons in this way. Right? So similarly for the other one. Now both the chlorine atoms will share 1 electron of each with another chlorine atom. As a result, both the atoms attain an octet rule within a chlorine molecule. So see this way. So this is a Cl2 molecule formation. Right? So each chlorine atom is able to attain an octet in case of Cl2 molecule. However, there are certain exceptions to the octet rule. That is, octet rule, you can see that they broke up in significant number of cases. For example, for lighter atoms like beryllium or boron, which have less than 4 outer electrons, right, within the formation of corresponding molecules. Take an example of beryllium in this case. So beryllium has 2 electrons in its outermost shell. Similarly, fluorine has 7 valence electrons. Right, so this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 valence electrons in its outermost shell, and when they have tendency to form a molecule like BeF2, so if you consider the electrons which are existing within the outermost shells, then here this is 2, 4, 6, similarly 2, 4, 6, and beryllium and fluorine bond formation here, bond formation here. So as we can observe, each beryllium atom or beryllium atom in this particular case is now surrounded only with 4 outer electrons. That means it's not able to fulfill its octet configuration, right? But however, we can say that the octet rule is not satisfied in this case, but it is quite a stable molecule. Similarly, we can consider an example for PF5. In case of PF5, the central phosphorus atom, if we draw the electronic structure of this molecule, you can observe that central phosphorus atom is surrounded by 10 outer electrons. That means it is extending your possibility of 8 electrons in its valence orbital, right? So we can say again the octet rule is not been satisfied by even PF5, but still it's an highly stable molecule, right? Then after is the concept of Sidgwick-Powell theory. This particular theory, it helps us to predict the approximate shape from the number of electron pairs in the outer or valence shell of the central atom, right? So as far as this theory is concerned, since we are talking about the electron pairs, there are 2 types of electron pairs we are already aware of, that is bond pairs and lone pairs. This theory says that all the types of electron pairs, whether they are bond pair or lone pair, they are equivalent in nature, since all the electron pairs take up some space and all electron pairs have tendency to repel each other, right? So we can further say that a molecule can attain its stability only when the repulsions are minimized. So to minimize the repulsions, electron pairs are oriented in space as far apart as possible. So depending on the number of electron pairs which are present in its outermost shell within the molecule, the geometry will be decided. Consider the table shown on your screen. So if there are two pairs of electrons in the valence shell of the central atom, then the orbitals containing them will be oriented at 180 degree to each other, right? As a result, the molecule formed will be linear. If we consider 3 electron pairs, they will be at 120 degree to each other, giving a plain trigonal structure. For 4 electron pairs, the angle is 109 degree 28 minutes and the shape would be tetrahedral. For 5 pairs, the shape is trigonal, bipyramidal. For 6 pairs, the angles are 90 degree, shape is octahedral. Similarly, for 7 electron pairs, the shape would be pentagonal bipyramidal, right? And the corresponding bond angles 72 degree and 90 degrees. Next in the series, we can talk about is our main topic, that is VSEPR theory. This particular theory was introduced in 1957 by Gillespie and Nielom, right? Now there are various points which we can summarize for this particular theory. Let us consider it one by one. As per the theory, the shape of the molecule is determined by repulsions between all of the electron pairs present in the valence shell. This particular summarized point, you can say it's similar to that of the Sidgwick-Powell theory, right? However, there is main difference between both the theories is, in the first theory which we studied, it was said that bond pairs and lone pairs are equivalent, right? However, VSEPR theory says it is not so. Lone pair and bond pair behave differently, right? Now, what can be the reason for this? See, it's a simple reason. If you consider a lone pair of electrons, it takes up more space around the central atom than a bond pair, right? Since the lone pair is attracted to one nucleus while the bond pair is shared by two nuclei, right? And due to this presence of lone pairs on the central atom, it results in slight distortion of the bond angle from the ideal shape. Again, if you consider the magnitude of repulsions between the lone pairs and bond pairs, then that can be as summarized here. So, repulsions between lone pair is greater than that of the repulsion between lone pair bond pair, which is further greater than that of bond pair repulsions, right? Further, repulsions between bonding pair of electrons depends on the electronegativity difference between the central atom and the other atoms that we can see with certain examples ahead. And similarly, if you talk about the repulsions with reference to the bonds, then it is observed that double bonds cause more repulsion than single bonds and triple bonds cause more repulsion than a double bond. Next, let us see the details of effect of lone pairs as explained as per the VSEPR theory. So, if you consider molecules with 4 electron pairs in their outer shells, we can say these are based on the formation of a regular tetrahedron structure. Let us take an example of methane. In case of methane, there are 4 bonding pairs in the outermost shell of the carbon atom. That means it will attain a regular tetrahedral arrangement with bond angle 109 degree 28 minutes. If we consider ammonia, the nitrogen atom, that is the central atom, has 4 electron pairs again in the outer shell, which are made up of 3 bond pairs and 1 lone pair, right? Now, because of the lone pair, as we have already summarized in the theory, what does lone pair do? Lone pair will distort the structure, right? So, because of the existence of one lone pair in case of ammonia, there would be a distortion observed within this tetrahedral angle, and that distortion is, it will change the angle from 109 degree 28 minutes to 107 degree 48 minute. Similarly, if we consider water, in water, the central oxygen atom has 4 electron pairs in the outer shell, right? Now this 4 electron pairs you can say to be divided into 2 bonding pairs and 2 lone pairs. Because of this presence of 2 lone pairs, the bond angle reduces further to 104 degree 27 minutes, right? In a similar way, we can take an example of sulfur hexafluoride SF6. It has 6 bond pairs in the outer shell and is a regular octahedron with a bond angle of 90 degree. In case of BrF5, that is bromine pentafluoride, bromine also has 6 outer pair of electrons made up of 5 bond pairs and 1 lone pair. However, the presence of 1 lone pair reduces the bond angle to 84 degree 30 minutes, right? If you take the other case, that is in case of XeF4, here it is again surrounded by 6 electron pairs, 4 bond pairs and 2 lone pairs. Now this is an interesting case. See here, there are 2 lone pairs and as per this concept, we are expecting that there should be reduction in the bond angle from the normal bond angle of 90 degree in case of octahedron arrangement. However, as you can observe on the screen, bond angle remains the same. And the reason for this is the lone pairs, the 2 lone pairs which are present in this case, they are exactly trans to each other. So if this is Xc, these are fluorine within a square planar arrangement, right? And the lone pairs are exactly occupying the trans positions. Okay, and since they are occupying the trans positions in the octahedral arrangement, they do not have an overall effect on that square planar arrangement of XeF4, and as a result the bond angle remains the same, that is 90 degrees. Next we can consider the point with reference to electronegativity. So what is the effect of electronegativity with reference to VSEPR theory? If you consider NF3 and NH3, both have structures based on a tetrahedron. However, the one site of that tetrahedral arrangement is occupied by a lone pair. Both of them have nitrogen. Each nitrogen has a lone pair present. So, one of the corner of tetrahedron is been occupied by a lone pair. Now, what will happen in this case? See here. So, you have NF3 and this is NH3 lone pair here, right? Now in this particular case, in the first case, the high electronegativity of fluorine, what will happen due to that? It will pull the bonding electrons away from nitrogen. So all these high electronegative fluorine atoms will pull the electrons, bonding pair of electrons towards itself, right? Because of this, the repulsions between bond pairs will decrease within NF3. So how can you explain here? See what is going to happen? This electronegative fluorine atoms will pull the bonding electron pairs towards itself, right? Because of this bonding pairs won't show higher repulsions across this central nitrogen atom. But however, there is a lone pair present at this corner. Now this lone pair will get its own space and it will show its tendency to widely spread within the space available to that atom, right? So due to that, what is the possibility now? The possibility of your lone pair bond pair repulsions would increase, right? And to decrease that repulsions and to attain the stability with reference to the molecule, what would happen? Now the bond angle will try to decrease itself. As a result, you can say that the repulsion between bond pairs would be less in case of NF3 than in case of NH3. You can make it more clear to yourself by taking another example. Let us take this particular example of F2O and H2O. So this is your F2O and this is H2O. Oxygen has 2 lone pair of electrons, right? Now what would happen in this case again? Fluorine, highly electronegative element, pull the electrons towards itself, right? As a result, the bonding pair of electrons, the density with reference to bonding pairs across the oxygen atom would decrease, right? However, oxygen has two lone pair of electrons, right? So now both the lone pair will get its space to get widely spread within that available space, right, around the central atom. So to decrease that tendency of lone pair bond pair repulsions, what would happen? Definitely that bond angle will try to release itself, to try to decrease itself, right, so that the repulsions between the lone pair bond pair could decrease and the molecule can attain its higher stability, and so the bond angle in case of F2O would be decreased compared to that of H2O. Okay, so you can just take it as a general rule in terms of effect of electronegativity, that in any such case where there is an electronegative element involved, the corresponding your bond angle would show a decrease in its bond angle, right? And at last we can consider in case of isoelectronic species. See, isoelectronic species are observed to show the same structure, right? They may be extended to species with the same number of valence electrons. So if you take an example of say BF4 minus or CH4, right, NH4 plus, these are all tetrahedral in nature. They are isoelectronic species, particularly with reference to the number of valence electrons, and they are all tetrahedral. Similarly, there are various examples like you can take CO3 2 minus and your SO3. These are all planar. They are isoelectronic and they are planar structures, right? So this is with reference to this particular concept of VSEPR. That's for this video. Thank you for watching.